Okay, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. So it looks like we are right on time now. So I guess I'll pass the reins over to you, Janine, and we can get going if you're ready.
Perfect. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for joining. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about how to easily source engaging content for your tourism and accommodation business. Um, just to give you a bit of background before we start, a little bit about me. I own a company called 5 Star Stories. We offer digital marketing, content marketing services towards the travel industry and luxury lifestyle businesses. So what we're going to be talking about today is something that's right up my alley, something that I deal with every day, and something that I see a lot of clients struggling with. I'm also passionate about all things luxury and travel. I've been in this industry now for about 10, 12 years. In fact, as I speak to you, I'm actually sitting at Cape Town International Airport waiting to board a flight to Mauritius to go and meet with some hotels there. So this is literally my life, what I do every day. Also work as a freelance travel writer and journalist. So blogs and content is something that I put together all the time, and definitely something that I can help you with. I'm an expert in travel marketing in the media space, and also, like a lot of you, I'm a small business owner. So I understand the trials and tribulations of small businesses, and the fact that content and putting together good content is often not at the top of your priority list. Um, yeah, so before we go into how to source great content, I just wanted to do a short wrap up on the power of content marketing. And I think it's something that people are understanding more and more. It's something that businesses know that they need. And so I just wanted to go over a few key points in the power of content marketing. So content marketing allows you to speak directly to your audience. And it also allows you to showcase your brand's personality, allows you to put a voice behind your brand, a persona behind your brand, and really speak to those clients that are most important to your business and that are interested in the travel product that you have to offer. Content marketing also allows travelers to get excited about travel and, in return, your brand. So you're not selling toothpaste, thankfully. Travel is an interesting, exciting, inspirational space. And content marketing really allows you to get this message across, whether it's showcasing your brand through great visuals, interesting stories, or blogs or articles, or even videos, or especially videos. It also allows you to build brand awareness so that you can be remembered when travelers are looking to book. This is a very, very competitive market space. So by building great content, you're constantly in the mind of your audience so that when they are ready to book, they remember, oh yes, I read that blog about this place, or I read that review, or I read this story on that lodge or hotel. So you're always at the top of mind. Content marketing also allows you to build authority. Travelers see you as a thought leader in your space or your area of industry, and so when it comes to booking, you're already trusted, and you do that through putting out great stories that are trustworthy and that provide interesting facts or solve a problem for your audience. It's also the new word of mouth. So there are still people that sit around the fire and talk about their travels or show their photos, but most of this today happens on social media and through blogs. So by creating great content, you are in this word of mouth constantly, what travelers are sharing through great stories, great photos. Yep, so now I'm going to just get into how do we source this content. So we know we need great content, but how do we get great content? So I have put together a few little points on where I think that you can source great content. So I'm just going to run through these over the next couple of slides. So my first point is to ask your staff. Sitting in your employee base is a heap load of content. You just have to harness it. Whether it's killer recipes from your chef, or tips and tricks from your drivers as to how to get around, or the best times to see certain attractions, or how to avoid queues. These are all stories that your staff know offhand. It's just about getting this information from them. For instance, I was at a lodge in the Kruger recently, and the chef was telling this fascinating story about how he prepared breakfast the night before, and when he woke up in the morning, his entire kitchen had been raided by honey badgers. Terrible for him, hilarious story for us guests to listen to, and something that would make really great content to share with audiences. You can also get anecdotal stories from your barman or cocktail ideas. Also, your reception staff are full of frequently asked questions which your guests might ask about the area, which make for great stories, great blogs. For instance, I'm sure a lot of you have seen there was a viral post going around about 10 things, 10 stupid questions Thomas Cook guests had asked. Those questions came straight from the staff because they were the ones that had been asked them. A lot of you might work in upliftment programs with your staff. Those zero to hero stories are also something that guests and travelers love hearing about. Your staff are also, your staff are also the best people to talk about personal experiences of your product, what they feel, the things that they enjoy the most, or their advice on what is the best room in the hotel. Your staff have those tidbits. You just have to get it from them. So for instance, this little picture here is a story that I did with a green environmental beauty pageant. We took the staff and the girls that were entered into the pageant up to the Cedarburg Mountains here in South Africa, and the staff really had interesting things to say about, you know, their experience, and getting those little information and little sound bites from the staff really helped to add to the blog and to the content that we produced from that. So going on to my next point is a similar sort of point, but to talk to your guides. So whether you're a tour operator or a lodge or a hotel, you have guides on hand. And it's about talking to those guides because they have the knowledge of the environment that you operate in. So whether you're a safari lodge or you're running tours in a city, those guides know their product inside and out, and they can really provide great content on that. So as I said, whether it's game drives, bushwalks, or tours, they really know what's going on. And your guides are often experiencing unique everyday encounters. At every turn, they have something different to share, or they've seen something different that really make for great stories. So for instance, this little picture here, we were in Arathusa, which is in the Sabi Sands, and as we touched down onto their little private runway, there was a leopard on the runway. An amazing sighting. The guide was with us, immediately hopped in the vehicle, took photos, and the next day I saw his videos and stories on a completely different channel, not his lodge's channel. And that's something that amazed me, is that here was a great story, a great video, a great share, and it wasn't picked up by his own lodge, it was picked up by someone else. And that's such a missed opportunity for that lodge. You know, you really have to engage with your staff and with your guides, and also make it easy and fun for them to share content. You know, it can't be a slog for them to get their content to your marketing team or to put it on the blog. You need to have easy methods in place and fun ways for them to share. And also try to give them motivation or rewards. So the best blog or the best sighting of the month or the best video shared by your guides, you know, give them a reward or a monetary incentive or a treatment at the spa or whatever it may be. Just try and come up with fun ways so that they are sharing with you and not with other channels. Your guides or your tour operators can also provide you with great opinion pieces. So whether that's, for instance, this lodge in the Sabi Sands, whether that's on rhino poaching, or if you have a city lodge, maybe that's on city hotel, maybe your opinion piece is on something political or something that's going on in the city. Just of course, with all these things, remember to always make sure that they're relevant to your brand and that it's part of your brand's voice. You don't want to be putting out opinion pieces that could end up getting you in trouble or not be consistent with your brand message. So my next point is, of course, don't forget your guests. People love to share their travel experiences. So enhance this experience for them. Make it easy for your guests to share stories. One of your cheapest and easiest ways for guests to share stories is to provide them with free and good Wi-Fi. this is really your best marketing tool. Travelers will share travel photos and stories while they are traveling. If you don't provide them with good Wi-Fi, they might still share it when they get home or later on. But if they can share in the moment, that is easiest, your best way to get great content out there. Also, again, make it fun and easy for them. So host meetings or sharing events or evenings where people can share their photos and come up with innovative solutions for these. So say, for instance, you are that safari lodge, or you are that hotel, or even people's photos from out their travels. But it will also help to get you good content. You can have a little form that people can sign to say that any photos they give you, you can use in your marketing. Of course, get their permission and make sure you use them properly and wisely. But it's a great way to get photos instantly from your guests and also to provide a different experience for them on the ground. Another way to get great content from your guests is to use your reviews. So whether these are reviews that are left on TripAdvisor or Facebook, or even that are emailed directly to you, you can use these reviews in things like blog posts or articles. So for instance, this one here is for a company that I do work for, Planet Windsurf, and this is just a little write-up of one of their guests' reviews on a trip that they did. I sent her a little great review by email. All it took was an email back to them. Can we get a little bit more about your experience? A couple more paragraphs, 1 or 2 photos, and there you go. Great blog, easy peasy. So moving on to my next point is to harness your community. So the people that are already following you on social media or signed up to your newsletters, these are people that are either interested in what you have to offer and your product or have experienced your product already. So these are people that are right there at your fingertips. You don't have to do much hard work to get them interested and engaged because they've already shown interest. It's just about harnessing them and constantly reminding them who you are. So encourage social media sharing. So whether that's actually through your social media channels with, say, for instance, a post on your best thing to do in the city that you operate in and asking your audience, what did they love about their stay, or what would they recommend to travelers? And, really encouraging those responses, making it interactive. Another way is directly through your community while they are with you, while they are traveling. So if you're a hotel, have your Wi-Fi logins, link to your social media pages, have your handles and your hashtags visible, whether it's little cards on your bedsides or just little brochures around the hotel that have those handles and hashtags visible so that when somebody is ready to share, it's not hard work for them. They can immediately find what they are looking for, and there it is, they can share, and it's simple for them. Another great way to get great content from your community is to host photo or video sharing competitions. So this little picture here is through a photo competition that I ran through Africa Geographic. This ended up being an annual competition. It was just so greatly loved. We got over 20,000 photos entered into this competition. We had a disclaimer that any photo entered could be used in the marketing of this competition, and therefore there were thousands of photos that we could share all the time. And these were photos that people had taken from their own travels. If maybe you're a new lodge getting off the ground or a new company, you could make an innovative competition. I've seen competitions where people post, it's a Photoshop picture in, so if you were to join us, show us what you'd be doing. It's fun, it's funky, and that gives you great content that you can continue to share for years to come. As I mentioned, you can also ask your audience for their favorite memories, tips, and advice. People love seeing their own stuff published. Just obviously make sure they're aware that it will be published. But you can ask them for their 10 tips to do in your area or their memories and use those to compile different blog posts and different articles, different content. So my next point is to connect with influencers. So this is something that I see more and more brands doing. It's really fantastic that It's really starting to get out there, and people are really connecting with different influencers. So whether that's bloggers or journalists or photographers or videographers, connecting with influencers really gives you a great way to not only produce fantastic content, but also to reach audiences that you probably wouldn't normally have access to. The only thing that I would advise people in this regard is to make sure that you connect with the right people. It's not only looking at follower numbers. For instance, if you look at someone on Instagram and they have 20,000 followers and you think, oh, that's fantastic, but say your audience is 60 plus, they're probably not on Instagram. So then maybe that's not the best target market for you. Maybe you rather need to go to a older blogger that maybe only has 100 followers, but they book everything that that person tells them to book. So it's really about looking at the influencers that are right for your business, and also the platforms where you're going to see the most return on investment, or where your audience is actually hanging out. Also, when you work with influencers or bloggers or journalists or photographers in this regard, make sure that you do your research and have clear contracts and deliverables. You need to know exactly what you're getting from these people, and they need to know exactly what to expect. I've worked with so many lodges where they say, oh, they're not going to work with influencers because they never get anything out of it. This is because they haven't had clear contracts in place. They've given a free week or a free night to a blogger or influencer without actually saying what they want. So all they get in response is maybe an Instagram story, it's gone the next day. They didn't even see it. And this is all part of no one knowing what is actually expected or what should be delivered on. So this little picture here is the story that I did with a hotel in Langebaan. Similar sort of thing, they invited different influencers from around the world to experience their product. Some were in the supping industry, which is stand-up paddleboarding. Some were yoga instructors. Some were kite surfers. And actually, they invited these influencers on a trip that they also had guests on. So not only did the guests feel super special because they had professional yoga instructors and professional stand-up paddleboarders to assist them, but it also really made for some great interactions and, in return, some fantastic content. So my final point on how to get great content is to really be an expert. So you know your tours, your lodge, your hotel better than anyone. So make sure that you are an expert on your product. So compile tips and tricks on your area of expertise, the best things to see, the best things to do, when to go, how to travel, 10 things that you can do to skip the queues, or whatever it may be. Make sure that you are the one putting out those things. Also, when there's relevant news or updates about your area, make sure that you have the right information and that you're putting it out quickly. So whether it's an earthquake or a volcano in your area, or something like a fire, or here in Cape Town, for instance, we have the drought. So the lodges and the hotels and even the tourism boards that put out how to travel with Cape Town drought, or things you need to know about the drought in Cape Town, those posts are still being read consistently by travelers to Cape Town. Also make sure, and this allows you to really be an authority on things that are happening in your field. It allows you to be seen as a thought leader on the area. And also, one way that you can be an expert is to provide opinions on matters that are close to the heart of your business. So again, whether that's relevant news and updates in your area, or controversial topics, just obviously make sure that this is relevant to your brand and to the message that you want to be putting out. So just in wrap up, so we've figured out ways that you can get great content, a heap of different methods that are right there at your fingertips. But going forward, it's very important to define a clear strategy. My most important message is to pick your poison. You don't have to be everywhere or do everything. Decide what is most important to your business. So whether that is putting out blogs or articles or newsletters once a week, or Instagram posts, make sure that you focus on the channels that are most important to you and where your audience is hanging out. Whether you have Instagram and you just use it every now and again to show that you are there, or whether you are using it as your main marketing strategy, just pick with what you want to focus on. And have set goals and be consistent. Social media and content marketing are long burn marketing strategies. So often I get messages from lodges saying, oh, I put out this blog, but I didn't see any bookings from it. That's not the point. The point of good content marketing is to build trust and a relationship with your audience so that when they do come down to book, again, you're top of mind. So just because you don't see results from one blog post, don't give up. Be consistent and constantly be pushing out these messages. And have a voice and stick to it. As I said, content marketing really allows you to build a persona for your brand. So figure out what that persona is, whether it's sarcastic or luxury or a factual voice. Make sure that you define that persona and really stick to it in all the ways that you content marketing, and also how you respond to questions or queries. This will also enable you to figure out what type of material you will or won't post. And then one of my most important points is to make it someone's responsibility. I've so often seen this sort of thing be handed off to the reception girl or the manageress, and in the end, it's everyone's job and no one actually ends up doing it. So hire someone that really knows what they're doing and hold them accountable to it. And if you don't have the in-house resources, often it's cheaper to use something like a marketing company or a freelancer that can provide you with a service for a fraction of the cost. This also allows you to take the time to do it properly. It's not someone doing it between bookings or at the end of a long day. This is really someone focusing on it. This is the face and the message and the persona that you put out to the world. So it really needs to be refined, because you can't get into a lot of trouble or burn bridges or really put out the wrong message if you don't do it properly. It's also important to keep abreast of changes. This is not the same world it was 5 years ago, 1 year ago, or even a month ago. It's an ever-changing landscape, and it really requires you to think on your feet. And the last thing is really to make it easy. Make it easy for people to share with you, be seen through your brand, and really make it easy for those you're connecting with to give you great content, whether that's your staff, your guests, your community. Make it easy for them to talk about your brand. Yep, so that's it from me. This is just my company info. If you have any questions or you want to have a look at what I do, there's the information. Yep, that's it from me.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Janine. So we will be taking questions now. If you'd like to ask Janine a question, you can simply type it into the chat box below, or I can unmute you. So for that, just click on the participants button and then click to raise your hand. Then I'll unmute you and you can ask your questions. So I guess I will just say as well that I did notice quite a few people joining 5, 10, 15 minutes later into this one. So it has been recorded, and as we kind of went through a lot of tips, a lot of great tips really quickly, it's definitely worthwhile going back if you did miss the beginning, just so that you didn't miss out on any great tips from Janine, because they were really I think they were really fantastic. I'm a content manager myself, so I know. They're great. Thanks, Janine. So Delphine has just asked, do you have an Instagram account?
Yes, I do have an Instagram account. My Instagram account is 5.star.stories. Yeah, so I am on Instagram. Again, it's probably actually not the main way that I communicate with my clients, because most of them don't understand it, so I'm also running theirs. But yeah, I am on Instagram.
Okay, great. Just so you're aware too, Delphine, you might already have watched it, but we did do a webinar about a year ago now that I presented actually about Instagram tips for travel brands. We've also done one or a couple actually, on influencer marketing, which was something that Janine touched on a little bit before. So if you want more information on that, then we've got it as well. So just, you can send any more questions you have to Janine at janine@5starstories.co, or you can send me a question about any of our webinars at kirsty@travelmassive.com. So that looks to be about all the questions that we have today. That was pretty quick. Oh, no, we've got one more from Ian. Hey, Ian. So do you have any stories or examples of bookings that operators have made by Instagram or social channels?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of different tour operators as well as travel brands and lodges and hotels directly, especially now with different ways of chatting on social media platforms. Booking directly on those platforms is becoming a lot easier, and something that I see a lot of people doing. This is especially relevant, I think, in even restaurant industry or activity operators. You know, something that people are really booking on the spot as they go. I think can really benefit from different social booking options. And also, I think it's just about consistently being in the face of your audience, so that when they are ready to book, whether they do that on a desktop, or they do that by email, or they do that on your website, or they do that on social media, that you are top of mind, regardless of what platform they end up using to make the booking.
Okay, great. I hope that answered your question. Yes, Anne says thanks. So I think that's all the questions we have today. So thank you again, everyone, for joining today, and thanks, Janine, for sharing with us. Before you all head off, I would just like to give a quick plug to our next webinar as well, which is going to be with my colleague at In Marketing We Trust, Nicole, who's going to be teaching us all how to work smarter in a digital world. So please sign up before you leave today, and I hope to see all your names pop up again there. So thanks again, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.